You're Mr. H, and you're Miss C. Right? Right. C's for Cheyenne. But C is for Cheyenne. And H is for Hunter. So you're Miss C, and he's Mr. H. Right?
Yeah.
Right! What day is it, Hunter? It's September 5, 1992. And we're upstairs on the floor, and Hunter in first grade, and he went to school and went to the library today and was able to check out a book. So you can go in there and you can decide what book you want to check out, and they just let you do it, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, come on around the side here so everybody can see. This is called The Wizard of Wallaby Wallow. The Wizard of Wallaby Wallow. Can you say that?
The Wizard of Wallaby Wallow.
Okay.
The Wizard of Wallaby Wallow.
All right. Thank you. Here we go. The Wizard of Wallaby Wallow was very busy, and he was trying to get his stock of magic spells in order. So we have this little funny guy. He's got a big beard. He's got glasses hanging down on his nose, and he's got all kinds of bottles of stuff with corks in the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Now, he had spells for turning folks into everything from an aardvark to a zebra. Each spell was in a little bottle, and with a label on it which told what sort of a spell it was. But everything was in such a jumble that it took hours. It took the wizard hours to find the one that he wanted. So he had cleared all the shelves and was very carefully putting the spells back into alphabetical order. You know, he starts off with A, A, B, C, and he's got to put them all in order. And zebra would probably be last, right? If he wants to turn people into a zebra. Well, here they are. Look at the bottles up here. Angleworms, ants, antelope. Here's B. Bear, bee, buffaloes, cats, cows. These are magic potions, and if you took them, you would turn into a cow, or an antelope, or a little bee. The spells for turning folks into angleworms, ants, antelopes went on a shelf marked A. B was for the bees and the buffalo and the bears and so on. He said, "I wonder what sort of a spell this is," said the wizard, studying the bottle he had just picked up because the label had come off. "Oh, no, don't take it." "Oh, no." Well, then there was a knock on the door, and he said, "Oh, geese fleece," swore the wizard. That was a nasty thing to say. "Oh, geese fleece. I've never left alone long enough to get anything done." And so he went to the door and he opened it up. "Go away," he says, "I'm busy. Shoo!" But the visitor was a mouse, and quite used to having folks yell shoo at him. And so he paid no attention to the wizard. And he says, "I want to buy a magic spell, please." The mouse said, "I'm tired of being a mouse. Nobody likes mice. They set traps for us, and they sit cats on us, and they tell us shoo all the time. And then they chase us with brooms." And he says, "It's not nice to be a mouse." He says, "I want to be something else." "Well, like what?" said the wizard. And the mouse said, "Well, I haven't made up my mind. I thought I'd come and see what sort of spells you have, and I'd just choose one." "Well, everything's a mess right now," said the wizard. "You can come back tomorrow and—" "Wait a minute," he said, remembering the bottle that was in his hand. "But we don't know what it's going to turn him into." Uh-oh. So he said, Here, he said, "You can have this one." He says, "There's no charge," and he handed the bottle to the mouse. Uh-oh. Cheyenne, now don't you tell Hunter, because I think you've looked at this book. Cheyenne, what do you think it's going to turn him into?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Do you have any idea?
No. No.
Okay. "Well, there isn't any label on it," said the mouse. "What will it turn me into?" "Well, something else," said the wizard. "Well, that's what you said you wanted to be." And he slammed the door and he went back to sorting his spells. Well, now, the mouse went home and he set the bottle in the middle of his dining room table, and while he was looking for something to pull the cork out with, he tried to guess what the magic spell would turn him into. He said, "Maybe I'll become a butterfly. Butterflies are pretty, but they don't live very long." He says, I don't think I want to be a butterfly. And turtles live a long time, but they aren't very pretty, and they're so slow." The mouse hoped that he wouldn't turn into a turtle. What kind of a turtle is this?
A mouse turtle.
It's a turtle with a mouse head. He says, bees are fast, but they work awfully hard, and work's not one of my favorite things. I don't want to have to work, said the mouse. And he says, ants. He says, ants go on picnics, but ants get stepped on. Yikos. He says, well, birds sing happy songs, but birds, I don't know. He says, birds eat worms, and the thought of eating worms makes me sick. And so here he thinks he'd be a bird with a mouse head, right? And what if I turned into a cat? I mean, the mouse thought, cats eat mice. And he thought, oh, I would never be able to eat mice. If I was a cat, I wouldn't eat mice. Oh, yucky, he thought. And he could just think about it and just kind of makes him sick. And what if the spell turned folks into mice? He says, it wouldn't even show. It'd be like dribbling egg on a yellow bib. He says, I wouldn't. What if it just is a mouse? Maybe it turns things into mices. He says, but what if it turned me into an elephant? That would be worthwhile, thought the mouse. I'd be an elephant, but an elephant can't fit in a house. It was a nice little house. The mouse loved it very much, and he hoped he wouldn't turn into an elephant. In fact, you know what the little mouse thought?
What?
He says, I can't think of anything that the spell might turn me into that I'd be sure to enjoy being. He says, being me has its problems, but at least I know what they are. He says, I don't think I want to turn into something else. And so he took the magic spell back to the wizard. Now the wizard came mumbling and grumbling to the door, and he was out of sorts, and he's going, oh, fiddlesticks. And he didn't recognize the mouse at first. You've changed, the wizard said. Well, I suppose I have, said the mouse. I was a pretty unhappy mouse before, and now I'm something else. Was it the magic spell that changed you? Asked the wizard. Well, as a matter of fact, it was, said the mouse. And the wizard was so excited he could hardly speak. And that's the first time one of my spells ever worked, he said delightfully. Looks like it worked twice, said the mouse. It made us both happy. It's a wonderful magic spell. And the wizard went into the shop, and he took all the labels off the bottles, and he raised the prices, and then he put them back on the shelves just any which way, and he sorted them. Was no longer a problem. And after that, whenever anybody in Wallaby Wallow felt unhappy with his lot, he knew what to do. He would buy one of the wizard's wonderful magic spells. They never failed to work, as long as the bottles weren't uncorked. And so everybody thought about what else they'd like to be, and they wouldn't like to change. Would you like to be anybody else?
I would not like to be anybody else.
Don't you like being Hunter Sutphen?
Yeah.
Don't you like being Cheyenne Sutphen? Yeah, me too. I like being who I am. Let me see your back, huh? What are these bites all about? Why do we have bites?
Pinching me.
No, those are not pinches. Those are much more like impetigo bites. Impetigo or something. I don't know.
She pinched me right then on the back.
She did?
She was pinching me. It's because Hunter was hitting me.
Oh, biddle fiddle. You guys be nice to each other. You love each other.
You're not even want to hurt Cheyenne.
You didn't want to hurt Cheyenne, and Cheyenne certainly didn't want to hurt you, right? Or did you want to hurt him?
She did. She really liked
Did you guys play this game with the necklace?
Yeah.
Did you like playing the game?
Yeah.
Willie's going to make you a necklace.
Yep. Once he started on it, but he didn't want to finish it.
He didn't feel like getting it finished?
Yeah.
You want me to write a book called Mickey Mouse and the Kitten Sitters? Oh, Hunter. You don't really want me to read a book called Mickey Mouse and the Kitten Sitters, do you? Do you, Cheyenne?
Yeah.
I liked The Wizard of Wallaby Wallow. I thought that was a very good book. Everybody would like to most people would like to be just who they are. I like to be who I am.
Okay.
Do you like to be who you are? Mama, do you like being who you are?
Huh?
You like being who you are?
Yeah.
You wouldn't trade and be somebody else?
No. I like being Daddy's wife and Hunter and Willie and Cheyenne's mama.
I like that too. The kids decided, did you hear any of this, Mom? We talked about it. They wouldn't like to be anybody but who they are.
Yeah.
Isn't that neat? They like being who they are.
Wouldn't you want another mom and daddy?
No.
You like your mommy and daddy the way they are?
Yeah.
Boy, we sure like being your mommy and daddy. I know. See it? Poor Pluto is being chased by a chicken.
Yeah.
Right. Yep, the Wizard of Wallaby Wallow, boy. We learned from his magic spell thing that it's better to be who you are. We really wouldn't want to change and be anything else. It wouldn't be any good. Well, anyway, we're going to read about Mickey Mouse and the Kitten Sitters, okay? Guess what, said Mickey Mouse to his nephews, Morty and Freddie. He says, we're going to be kitten sitters. Minnie is leaving. She's going to leave Figaro. What's the cat's name, Mother? Figaro. That's right, Figaro. Okay, Minnie is going to leave Figaro the kitten with us tonight while she visits her cousin Millie. Well, at that moment, there was a wild clucking. And Pluto the pup came racing across the lawn with a big, angry rooster close behind him. Look at that rooster shaking poor little Pluto. Whew. Well, Pluto hid under the porch while Mickey shooed the rooster back into his own yard. Pluto, scolded Minnie. Chasing chickens again. Aren't you ashamed? Well, Pluto was a bit ashamed, but it was only because he had let the rooster bully him. Creeping out from under the porch, he kind of wagged his tail sheepishly, and he tried to grin. He kind of going, He said, I think it's a good thing that Figaro is going to stay with you, says Minnie to Mickey. Figaro is a little gentleman. He can teach Pluto how to behave. And with that, Minnie handed her kitten to Mickey. And then she got into her car and drove away. Well, Minnie was scarcely out of sight when Figaro jumped out of Mickey's arms, scampered up into the house, and in the kitchen he saw a pitcher of cream that Mickey had forgotten to put away, and one short jump up into the chair seat, followed by a second jump onto the tabletop, brought Figaro right to the cream. The pitcher wobbled, it tipped over, cream spilled and ran out off the table and onto the floor. Pluto growled a warning growl as Figaro lapped up the cream. Take it easy, Pluto, said Mickey, wiping up the spilled cream. Figaro is our guest. And when Figaro heard that, he wrinkled his nose at Pluto and stuck out his tongue like this. Who around our house sticks out their tongue?
Who?
Who is pointing to herself right now?
Cheyenne.
Cheyenne sometimes sticks out her tongue at people, don't you?
She's really mad.
If she's really mad, she sticks out her tongue. How come you do that, Shy
She
Shy?
doesn't do it at Mommy and Daddy, does she?
No.
She did.
Well, she gets in trouble if she does it to her dad.
They're never gonna do it to you.
Oh, I know, because I love you so much, and you're not going to do that to Daddy.
Then why you stick out your tongue at me?
Because I was reading you a book, and I was showing you how Figaro sticks out his tongue at Pluto. He goes, That's right. Then he romped through the ashes in the fireplace and left sooty footprints on the carpet. Figaro's a very messy little guest, said Mickey's nephew Morty as he got out the vacuum cleaner and starts having to vacuum up all the ashes on the floor. What would you do if this cat came to visit us?
I would put him in a cage.
What would you do, Cheyenne, with Figaro if he came to visit us and he caused trouble and knocked over our milk and he got in the fireplace and got soot?
We don't get milk anymore.
Well, he could get into Mama's goat's milk. What would you do to this cat?
I would put him in a cage.
You would put him in a cage, too?
I would put him in the cupboard. Okay, I'll come in this.
Oh, he would be such a sad baby in there. He'd probably cry.
Cry and cry all the time. What would we do?
I would take him out and pet him.
Would you? Oh, that's nice,
I would
sweetie.
put him in sleep.
Well,
On my little tail bear blanket.
oh, really? Oh, that's nice, sweetie. Well, at dinner time, Pluto ate his dog food the way a good dog should. But no matter how Mickey and the boys coaxed, Figaro wouldn't touch the special kitty food that Minnie had left for him. He did at last nibble some imported sardines. He said, I want really nice fish. What would you do if he wouldn't eat his cat food?
I would put it in his mouth.
Oh, you would? Is that what people should do to you when you don't eat your food?
No. I'll give him some fish.
Would you give him really good fish?
Yeah.
I mean, he wanted imported sardines, the very best. He wouldn't eat cat food. He says, I'm too good for cat food. And he wanted the very best fish. What would you say about that? Should you just give it to him?
Yeah, I just go, no, I'll give him birds to eat.
You get him a bird?
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. What about the poor birdie?
I'll give him a mousey to eat.
That's good. We would like that. He's a fussy little guest, said Freddie. Well, at bedtime, Pluto curled up in the basket without any complaint. Did Figaro curl up and find a nice soft cushion that Minnie brought for him because, she brought him a bed? Instead, Figaro got into bed with Morty, and he started to bite his toes. Then he got into bed with Freddie, and he tickled both his ears, and finally he bounced off to the kitchen, and the house became very still. Uh-oh! Uncle Mickey! Cried Morty. Did you remember to close the kitchen window? Uh-oh! Cried Mickey, and he jumped out of bed and he ran to the kitchen, and the kitchen window was open, and Figaro the kitten was nowhere to be seen. Well, Mickey and the boys went through the house, and they looked under every chair and behind every door. Figaro! They called. And they went out into the yard, and they looked under every bush and behind every tree, and there was no Figaro.
He's chasing the chickens.
Are you giving away the end of the story, Hunt? He's really run away, Mickey decided at last, and Morty and Freddie followed Mickey back to the house, where Mickey put on his coat over his pajamas. He said, "You two stay here," he said to the boys. "Pluto and I will find Figaro, so leave the porch light on for us." And so Pluto didn't wag his tail, and he didn't even try to grin as he got out of his cozy basket, but off he went to help Mickey in the search. Look at his tired eyes. What kind of eyes are those?
Tired.
These kind of eyes. Okay, wait a minute. I got to read this page. It says, they went to Minnie's house first, but Figaro hadn't gone home. Then they went back to the park and down the street. "Have you seen a little black and white kitten?" Mickey asked the policeman at the gate. "I certainly have," answered the policeman. "He was in the pond chasing ducks." Oh, well, Mickey and Pluto hurried to the pond. Figaro wasn't there. He'd been there, though. He'd left behind some small muddy footprints and several large excited ducks. And then Mickey and Pluto followed the trail of footprints to the main street, where they met a crew of firemen. "I'm looking for a black and white kitten," said Mickey to the fireman. "Ha! Is that so?" said one of the firemen. "We just rescued a black and white kitten. He'd climbed a telephone pole and couldn't get down again. Then he ran through that alley." In the alley, a dairy cook driver was busily cleaning up broken eggs in his truck. "Have you seen a kitten?" asked Mickey. "Have I?" said the driver. "He jumped into my truck and knocked over dozens of eggs." Mickey groaned as he paid for the smashed eggs. When Mickey and Pluto finally trudged home, it was dawn. They'd searched the whole town. They'd even been to the police station, but they did not have Figaro. "What will Aunt Minnie say?" asked the boys. "I hate to think what Aunt Minnie will say," answered poor Mickey. Well, before long, Minnie drove up. Mickey and the boys looked worried as they went out to meet her. "Where's Figaro?" said Minnie. No one answered. "Something's happened to him." Minnie was upset, and then she was angry. "Can't I trust you just to watch one sweet little kitten?" And just then there was a loud clucking and squawking from the yard next door, and at least a dozen frantic chickens came flapping over the fence, and close behind the hens came a big angry rooster, and close behind the rooster came Figaro the kitten. Figaro's fur was rumpled, and he carried a long tail feather between his teeth. And "There's your sweet little kitten," said Mickey. "Figaro!" cried Minnie, not believing her eyes. At the sound of her voice, Figaro skidded to a sudden stop, and he sat down, and he mew, meow, meow, just like a gentle little kitten. And he tried quickly to soothe out his dusty fur with his little pink tongue. "He ran away last night," explained Mickey. "He teased the ducks in the park, and he broke the eggs in the truck, and now he's chasing chickens," finished Minnie. "I hope he'd teach Pluto some manners," Minnie went on. "Instead, Pluto's been teaching him to do naughty things. Teasing ducks, tasting chickens. The very idea, I'll never leave him here again, because Pluto will just make him do bad things. But it wasn't Pluto's fault, protested Morty. He didn't do anything bad, said Freddie. He stayed up all night trying to find Figaro. But Minnie wouldn't listen. She just picked up Figaro, got into her car, and drove away. Well, don't worry, boys, said Mickey. We'll tell her the whole story later when she's not so upset. Please don't tell her too soon, begged Morty. As long as Aunt Minnie thinks Pluto's a naughty dog, we won't have to kitten sit with Figaro. Mickey smiled. Maybe we should wait a little while. We could all use some peace and quiet. I did learn one thing, though, yawned Mickey as he stretched out beside Pluto under a shady tree. There's not much sitting to kitten sitting. Hi, Ma.
Did you like that? Poor Pluto.
Poor Pluto.
Do you like blame? Do you like when Pluto? Do we believe in blame?
We don't blame. We don't believe in blame, do we? No. Only if somebody's hitting somebody, we say you don't do that anymore. Right?
Yeah.
Right. This is a hurt. Look at this. Look at this. Who is that, Cheyenne?
Me.
Look at that. This is a book about me, it says. The Circus Star. And look at how old is Hunt?
I don't know.
I'd say about 2.
Yeah, he's got 2.
Just about 2 years old.
I know who gave this to me, too.
Yeah, I think that was like the day Cheyenne was born.
No, Helen gave this to me.
Helen gave it to you, didn't she? Yep. This book is about me, Hunter Shane Sutphen. Merry Christmas, Huntman, with love from Helen and Dale, 1988. 4 years ago.
Yeah,
Almost.
1988.
Yep.
You were born in 1986.
Yeah.
Hunter Sutphen, age 2, has been waiting for the circus to come to Malibu, California for a long time. And the big day is here at last. Let's go early, Hunter said to Cheyenne and Willie and Travis and Mom and Dad. You're right, it was Cheyenne was already here. So it wasn't, well, she was born in April of 82, so okay.
Yeah.
They got to the circus so early that all the seats in the circus tent were still empty and everyone was getting ready for the show. See, they got there real early. There's nobody there yet. Hunter wanted to get there so bad he made Cheyenne and Willie and Mom and Dad go with him and take him to the circus early on. And Hunter saw the lions and the tigers in their cages.
And this is Mama.
Okay. Mommy took off and put on a little tutu and is dancing on top of the horses. And so Hunter saw the horses prancing and dancing. And where are the elephants and the clowns? Hunter asked Cheyenne and Willie and Travis and Mom and Dad. Well, suddenly a door flew open, and in came a red fire truck, and it was full of clowns. Chuckles the clown was riding in the back of the truck. How funny all the clowns looked. Look at them. Another door opened, and a parade of elephants came into the ring. The biggest elephant stood on a little stool, and the baby elephant was holding a baby's rattle in his trunk. Uh-oh. The clowns drove the fire truck around and around. Then an awful thing happened. The huge pole holding up the circus tent went... Hunter saw it falling towards Chuckles. "Chuckles, watch out!" Hunter screamed. Chuckles jumped off the fire truck just before the huge pole came falling. Hunter ran over to Chuckles. Chuckles said, "Oh, Hunter, you saved my life. I'm going to do something very special for you tonight. Thank you, Hunter, for warning me." Well, it was almost time for the show to begin. What fun. The spotlights came on and Chuckles began to speak. "Tonight we have a special guest. This child saved my life. Hunter, I will never forget you," said Chuckles, and Cheyenne and Willie and Travis and Mom and Dad watched proudly as Chuckles gave Hunter a great big gold medallion award. And everyone cheered and shouted, and they all clapped. They went, "Yay!" when they heard how Chuckles' life had been saved by Hunter.
Okay.
After all, Chuckles is everyone's favorite clown. Look at him. There he is, walking on his hands with balloons on his feet. And what's the seal doing?
The seal's clapping.
How's the seal clapping? What does he say? See, that's what I needed, some sound effects. Then Chuckles said, Hunter, you're the star of the circus tonight. You can be anything you want. Well, Hunter said, may I be a clown like you and ride on the fire truck? Sure, said Chuckles, it'll be an honor. And so Chuckles painted Hunter's face to look just like his own, and then he brought out a little Chuckles clown suit. And when Hunter had the suit on, he said, I look just like you. This is such fun. Well,
Not this one.
well, this is Hunter. Yeah, they put a clown suit on him.
Because I got this.
And there's the award he got, see? There was a brand new fire truck waiting for them in the ring, and the other clowns were already in the truck. Climb up, said Chuckles, and Hunter hopped up beside him, and they rode around and around the circus ring. The siren screamed, and Hunter waved at Cheyenne and Willie and Travis and Mom and Dad. And Chuckles was right. It really was a special night, one that would be remembered for a long time. And there's a picture of Hunter and his award and his balloons. And there's Mommy and Daddy and Cheyenne and Travis and Willie all applauding. How do we applaud?
I don't know.
What do you say? Don't you go, yay! What? No, you don't need to do that when you're doing it. You just have to do that if it's not doing it. If we're not recording, and we're recording.
Oh, we're still some more
Now don't push that in, Cheyenne. That will mess it up. I told you not to, Shy, and you do it.
We still have time.
Yeah, you have a little bit of tape. What are you going to tell Mom? You going to tell Mom you love her?
I love you, Mommy.
Oh, he's telling you he loves you, Mommy. You going to tell Mommy you love her?
Mama, I love you, Mommy.
Oh, is that sweet?
Daddy, what?
Hunter and Cheyenne.
Daddy, look.
Huh? Yeah, that's the name of the book. What's it called? It's a logo on the back of it. It says it's About Me book. Hi, I love you, Mama.
What is this?
Hunter is in first grade now, Mom. Did you know that?
He's so big.
He is so big. He's in first grade.
And Cheyenne isn't so big.
Well, she's getting bigger all the time. She's grew so much this year, I can't believe it.
So big like me.
Well, you're always gonna be bigger than she is.
Left at home. I like her being at home.
Yeah, but she's getting bigger all the time.
Beautiful.
And we have finished our tape. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.